Good morning, Tarot Tube. This video I'm going to do today is a response, and it's about decks for books and movies, and in my interpretation of it, even a world of a fictional world that got created. So I'm going to start with simple stuff and move to the more complicated. And the three books I'm going to talk about are the ones that I've been reading lately, and that is The Stars Within You, Heretics Daughter, and Discovery of Witches. So the first one I'm going to do is pretty simple. This is something that I was doing with the Badass Unicorns book club. It's called The Stars Within You. I'm reading this one on my Kindle. And I'll get a little closer. It's a modern guide to astrology. So I don't actually have a lot of astrology decks. I've got this one, the Arcana of Astrology. And I did talk about this one on a different video when I was talking about modding decks, and I'm not finished with this. A little embarrassing now because that video is kind of old. Anyway, I probably started this a year ago, and I still haven't finished it because I start the astrology and I drop it and I start it and I start it and I stop it. So anyway, this is the only deck I have that would strictly be astrology. Oh, I just saw my sun pin. Let me put that out here because Litha was just happening. And then I have another deck that could sort of loosely say, Yasmin Boland's Moonology deck. This one, actually, it's got all the different phases of the moon, but I also use it just as a straight oracle because the keywords are so easy to understand, right? And as I use it, it helps to remind me about phases of the moon and stuff like that, which ties into ritual, magical work, and just having that off the top of your head is pretty helpful, right? So I can also use this one as an altar card or just to remind me where I am. So, but this one, I started using it more as a study deck. I really like the images. I think they're really clean. And yeah, I just like them. And it's helping me to learn the houses and stuff like that. So these are both nice tie-ins for this book. Whoops. Oh, I went out of my screen. Anyway, it's The Stars Within You. All right, the next one. So the next one is this book that I have been reading for the book club in the Ritual Society, a membership that so both of these memberships, I digress, both of these memberships I'm really enjoying, both the Badass Unicorn, which is Lisa Papez's group, I'll link it here or there, or maybe both, and the Ritual Society. So the Ritual Society is reading the Heretics Daughter. Every month there's a fiction and a nonfiction book. So this is the fiction book. It's called The Heretics Daughter, and it is historical fiction about the Salem witch trials, and it's written by this woman who discovered she was actually a descendant of one of the people who was murdered. And it's heartbreaking, but it also really helps you to sort of put yourself in the shoes of the people who were there at the time, not really think of them as people that were just like way far off in time, but just that they were real people, real families, and it was just a horrific part of our American United States, well, not United States, it's British history, I guess, at that point, right? So just, yeah, ick. But a really good book. And I thought, is there a deck that these poor people could have had? And the answer is no, not really. Any deck that they would have had, playing cards, nothing. It would have, that would have put them into a bad place. However, I believe that the language of flowers is a very old tradition, and probably would have been known to some of those people anyway. So this is the best thing I could come up with for that book, Botanical Inspirations. It's this deck, and it's just a traditional associations, meanings for flowers and plants. And that's just, you know, super old, super old. You know, it's in folk songs, it's in poems. They probably wouldn't have gotten into trouble for, you know, giving a love a rose. So, but who knows? Those are crazy times. Okay, so that is my deck for this one. Now the complicated one. Okay, don't have a picture of this book to show you because I got it from the library, as I got this one from the library. And since we, at this point in time in the US and worldwide, seem to be headed into maybe recession times, but certainly big inflation. There's a lot of financial issues going on right now. I encourage everybody, use your public library. It's a fabulous resource. It supports the community that you live in. Use the library. So that's why I don't have my Discovery of Witches book, because I use the library. All right, big pile of decks. Walking away for a second to pick them up. Oh, here they are. Did you hear me groan? Ugh. Okay, because I decided instead of just trying to pick one deck, I would pick a few decks for different characters, events in this book. All right, let's start with, okay, random, just starting at random. This deck, this is called the Women of Science Tarot. I did do a walkthrough on that. I'll try to link it. Hope I remember. And this tarot I would give to the vampires that work in Matthew's lab, who are doing all this genetic research and DNA research and trying to understand, spoiler, a blood curse that's happening. Yeah. So I would give them this deck. There is a woman that works in the lab, and yeah, I think this would be fun for them. I kind of get a kick out of how it looks a little playing card-ish, the way they put the numbers and everything. So it's a little bit of a mashup there. Anyway, there is a separate walkthrough for this if you want to see more about this deck. Let me put that over there. Now, Matthew's mother. Matthew's mother, yeah. Responsible, spoiler alert, responsible for killing a lot of witches. I don't think she would have been comfortable having any kind of tarot deck in her home. So I would give her a historical playing card deck. And any witches who might be around would know how to use it. But she would not like freak out that this was in her house. So this is the Highlanders. It's a late 19th century deck. And although it is U.S. deck, a U.S. United States game deck reproduction of something from that period, she was well traveled, so yeah, that wouldn't bother her. Okay, now we're going to move on to, no, not to our main characters yet. Okay, so now we're going to go with, sorry, I banged the camera. Now we're going to go with Dionas Ants. And I would use the Herb Crafters deck for them. They really knew their magic, and they were very well. One of them was more earth-centered than the other, but they were pretty much all about the herbs and the potions. But they also did spell work and well, okay, spoilers. I shouldn't talk too much about it. I guess I put a lot of spoilers in here. But I think that the Herb Crafters deck would work for both of those wonderful ladies. So that's my deck for them. I think it's just beautiful, this deck. I have not done a walkthrough, but I'm sure there are plenty. So if you want to see more of this deck, this is my favorite card. Isn't it gorgeous? Okay, that one to the side. So that's for her ants. Now our two main characters, the vampire and the witch. Okay, you're probably wondering, why did I pick this deck instead of a vampire deck? Because he came from this very Catholic, super Catholic background from when he was a human, as well as the influences on his life, whoops, while he was, let me see if I can get this in order so you can see the images. Yes, the many, many generations while he was a vampire, and he was a knight. So he was really heavily steeped in all of this. I think of it this as a Roman Catholic deck, although I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea what the creator thinks, but as a someone who was brought up Roman Catholic, to me, it's like, wow, okay, you know, a lot of triggering stuff in here for me. So I think that this would have been a wonderful deck for him, and he was certainly very much in love with her. That's a nice card for the two of them. So try to find a good night card. Well, there's a good night. Let's see, the knight's going to, okay, that was bad. That was corny, sorry. I feel like there was a knight card in here someplace that really made me think of him. There's something. Right, so anyway, he was a knight. He was really about preserving history and tradition, and very much interested in bloodlines. So there's a lot in here that sort of resonates for me with that character, Matthew de Clermont. And now I have actually this deck. Yeah, I've got two decks for her, for our heroine. This one is the Enchanted Unicorn Oracle. I chose this one because, I mean, it's kind of crazy looking, right? But it was based on this manuscript, I don't know how I'm saying, the Voynich, I guess that's right. It's this Voynich manuscript. And she would have been interested in the illustrations from the manuscript and the manuscript itself. These are the dates. And because it's got magic, and she was fighting, spoiler alert, she was fighting against her magic, tamping it down, which she couldn't do really, it just bubbled up. But this would have been interesting to her for the historical interests, aspects, as well as the magical tie-in, which she was learning in the series of the 3 books. And then the other deck, which is really kind of perfect for her, is this Entanglement Tarot. So one of the things that she learns when she's studying and trying to control her powers is she learns she has to study witchcraft with her aunts, as well as a coven, and she has a mentor. And this deck, you could see it's got like, it's all about weaving and witches' ladders and, let me turn this around, different tools, the aspects of the craft. And she would have been learning about all these things. You can see, like, here's we've got a spell bottle, and we've got the elements, charms with the elements. I think that's an arrowhead, right? So we've got all these different things. If you're wondering how the deck works, it's you can use it like a regular deck. I never have, but you can also see how you can weave something together. You can weave a spell together with this deck by using it intentionally. And that's one of the things that you see her do in the book and the movie. I forgot to talk about the fact that it got turned into a TV series. So yes, so, and that's kind of fun visually. They did a nice job in the TV series where she's learning how to weave things together, and she's trying to do this. She's sort of struggling a bit, but she works it out. So yeah, so this would be a great deck for her. So that is kind of it. Now, another world book, movie, the whole thing is, of course, Harry Potter, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. And I'm going to make a whole separate video on that because I got a lot to say about that subject. Anyway, so this was it. These were my 3 books and decks for the books / TV movies of those things. And it was a lot of fun. I love this tag. If you do it, please come back and, tag me so I can look. Tag me? No, leave a comment so I can go watch your video, and anybody who watches this video might see your video and go look at it too. So thanks for watching. I'll put the tag on here. If you enjoy this kind of video, I'd really appreciate a like, a subscribe, hit the bell if you want to be notified, ding ding, and that's it, the usual thing. Be well, take care, and find something beautiful in your day today. Bye-bye.